Okay. This is the first episode of the Later Daters recap, Wineslut Meets Reality, where we're actually drinking wine, when the whole point of this was that we were going to slowly get drunk over the course of an episode, but here we are.
Cheers.
And we had a really exciting day because we had our podcast launch on Spotify today, 3 episodes up of the Later Daters recap. Wineslut Meets Reality is what our show's called.
Yay!
Are you wearing your Wineslut sweatshirt?
Yeah.
Oh, you are. I love it. Okay. Should we dive in
Okay. Yes.
to
Sorry.
this juicy episode?
Juicy, juicy, juicy.
I feel like now they are just like you said last time, they are just diving in. So like when we go in, the episode starts with Anise. She's mid-date with Bill, and we learn from Bill that he only dates Black women, and Anise seems shocked. She's just like
Yes.
totally shocked. And she wasn't put off by it. She said she appreciated his candor. And she was like, I felt for the first time leaning in, asking him questions. She even cocked her head to the side a little bit in this kind of flirty way. What did you think about their date?
I was thinking about what we talked about where it's almost a job interview with her. When he asked her something about the date or whatever, and she said, "This has been enjoyable. This was good."
I wrote that down. She says, this has been enjoyable, as if she was at a business meeting and was saying, thank you so much for your time.
You're right. That's and so that really stuck with me. And she's engaged, and she's not someone that what you normally would say is guarded.
Okay, so you're her. You're a niece. You're 50 years old. You've had a date with Bill where you've not dated a white guy before. You might be interested. You're not sure. What she says to Dwayna is that she's interested in going out again if he's interested in going out again, which is also its own kind of interesting. What do you say at the end of the date? Because I'm thinking she should say, oh my God, I had the best time with you. This was so much fun. I wasn't even sure dating later in life if I'd be able to meet someone where I just felt like we got along so well. Like, what do you say when you've had a good time with someone?
I think more than she did, right? She's not giving him a lot. When she's talking to her daughter about it, and she said, "Oh, I've never dated a white man," and she's like, "So what? Who cares?" But he did care. He did care that she's never dated a white man. And I wonder if that's because of her demeanor, or if it was simply just because she's never dated a white man. I was curious of that being a no-go for him. I wonder if she gave him a little bit more, if he would have had the same reaction.
Well, I feel like she was being punished for it a little bit,
Yeah.
and that's not really her fault. She talked about it being her upbringing and that she had a crush on a white boy when she was 15. And he asked her out and she thought, no, we can't do this, because that's the way that she was brought up. And I thought he could have been a little bit more understanding and open about that, especially in the South. He's from the UK where maybe things are less segregated, maybe. I did think that Dwayna, did you note, Dwayna was like, is he a man? Does he have a penis?
And then she said something about white chocolate with some swag.
Yes. Did you think Bill had swag?
I would say he was kind of a polished guy. He seemed a bit sophisticated, but not stuffy. But I wouldn't necessarily call it swag. Would you? I don't know.
No, and I have to confide something in you. I do not like an accent. I don't like a British accent. I don't find it sexy. Most of the time I'm like, I can't understand you. We use elevator, not lift. We say aluminum, not aluminum. We say schedule, not schedule. Like if someone was like, hey, can we have another date? I just want to put it in my schedule. They say schedule.
They do?
Correct.
Oh, I didn't know that. Oh, I never realized.
If they said, I want to schedule a date with you, I would be like, no, thanks.
I thought he was drunk.
I want to schedule. Well,
I want to shush.
They were drinking some wine, because afterwards they asked her how she felt and she said good. Was it the date or the wine? Yeah. I want to say about Anise. Anise is so fashionable and hot and put together. She looks great all the time. When we see her and Dwayna having that conversation, did you notice that Logan was between them and was almost acting like a therapist about her husband's death? And She really got vulnerable with her daughter. She cried. But that's the part I was interested in. I leaned in. I was like, I want more of that.
Right. Right. And I wouldn't necessarily look at her and think she's guarded, but Logan saying that and getting to know her a little bit more, I'm like, oh, I see it. Because I feel like I've been Anise. So like yeah, yeah. So I get it.
Interesting. So that's
Interesting.
Anise. We don't know if they're going to go on another date again. She is open to it. I'm not sure. What's your prediction? Do you think
No,
there's a date two?
no.
Okay.
I would be
Oh, that's
surprised.
too bad. That's
Yeah,
too bad.
yeah. I
Just like
don't
you
think.
said, they need to give each other a shot.
Yeah, they all have a little bit of it being a pet peeve and a deal breaker. They all have too much of a list. And I would think at their age, I guess it can go either way. You get a little bit more set in your ways, or you realize, fuck the list. They have to be this height and this and that. And a list is a list. It's not who somebody is, it's not their energy level or more important characteristics.
How
Yeah.
much money they have.
How
That's
much
very
money they
important
have. I mean, yeah,
later
there's
in
certain
life. No, I was
things.
joking.
Oh. But I mean, you want somebody, yes, okay. There are certain qualities that you look for in somebody, but yeah, I feel like they all kind of write each other off a little too early or easily.
Yeah, and this is I think this is going to be one of Lori's problems too. We could just go into
Yeah.
and talk about Lori now
Yes.
because Anise
Yes.
doesn't her storyline kind of ends there for this episode. I love her kids. I wasn't sure on the last
Yeah.
episode about how her kids felt about her, but I do think that there's
Yeah.
obviously her kids, there's
Yes.
deep love there. But when her daughter Kennedy goes, I just don't come in going blah 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 blah
Yeah.
blah blah
Well, Kevin going
blah
rah, 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 rah,
rah
rah.
rah 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 rah.
They
So her
showed up
kids
the
are
trailer
ribbing
too,
her.
and I was excited about that part because I thought it was really funny.
Yeah.
And what was with the posing and the plants and the vines? And my husband kept going, "What's with the glasses pose?" Like they kept grabbing the glasses. I thought that was really funny. But that plant thing was so bad with the hanging plant.
She just started like behind it, like
Yeah.
another mask. It's like, let's hide behind a plant, plus my glasses. She takes like one of the vines or one of the pieces of the plant and kind of does this. And her daughter calls her out on it. It's like, you can't stop doing that. I don't know what's
Yeah.
happening there, but don't pose with a house plant. She is posing in that dress though. And this is how I kind of felt about Lori. I felt like her bottom half is open for business, right? Her
Right.
legs look great. She's all out there, the bottom half. The top half is pretty
Oh,
buttoned up.
yeah, I can see that. And I think also, because we talked about this, her son goes to college, so he's older than I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if he does leave it, if he does live at home or not. Because I'm still trying to figure out why she sits in the car for an hour.
It's so funny. You're trying to figure that out, and I'm trying to figure out why Nate still doesn't have a coffee table.
Right.
These are two
We
things
still
that we are not going to get
No,
over.
no.
So she goes on this date with Ty, right? He's 57. When you and I talked last time, I think we thought he was an engineer, but he's another E word. He's an entrepreneur
Oh,
and an investor. I was like, whenever I see this on The
mm,
Bachelor, someone's like, it says name entrepreneur. I just think they're unemployed.
yeah,
What is your definition? If a guy came on a date with you and said, "I'm an entrepreneur," wouldn't you say in what field? What do you do?
absolutely. Yes, yes, I would ask that. Absolutely. I think before I went out with him. No, does he work in Chatsworth? Uh, what's entrepreneur? What does that
What
mean
are you
exactly?
entrepreneuring?
Yes, I would definitely ask that question.
One of the other things I noted was that Ty had already ordered a drink by the time Lori got there. Is that something that
Mm.
would bother you if you showed up on a date? Would it bother you that somebody had already ordered something to drink?
Oh, uh, I don't think so. Well, maybe actually. If I kept him waiting, I would say absolutely. Go ahead. Yeah, maybe it would a little bit. Yeah. How about you? Would it bug you?
Yeah, because when I go out with friends, even when you and I go out, or we go out with the girls, or I go out with my husband, we sit down and we go, what are you having? Should we start with a cocktail?
Right,
Are we going
right,
to split a bottle of
right,
wine? There's a conversation around the beverage. And
right.
by him ordering, what looked like a Kir Royale, which is
Oh,
fucking hilarious.
at least it wasn't a mimosa.
It was not a mimosa, but it was more mixing
Yeah, yeah,
something with a sparkling wine. Cassis in this thing. I
yes.
mean, do you need your champagne, or it wasn't champagne, Prosecco
No.
that tastes like a blackberry? She sits down and immediately starts to give him a makeover. I don't like the white shirt, even while he's telling her he thinks that her glasses make her look smart, right? Which they do. I mean, she obviously is smart, but I mean, tells her, "Oh, your intelligence is intoxicating." But she starts interviewing him
Yes.
immediately.
Yes. The interviewing was uncomfortable.
It was
If
worse than Anise.
Oh, absolutely. Because you know what? It was a little clinical and standoffish, where Anise is maybe just a little guarded. And when she says something about him looking at her, she calls him out for not looking at her. And then he asks her a question, and she does not make eye contact with him whatsoever when she's answering. And then I wonder, is she going to be accepting of notes? Is she going to be open to that? Is she going to hear Logan saying, wow, that's an interview?
I hope so. I noted the same thing when
Yeah.
he asked her the question. It was about something that she despised, and she said greed. And when she said greed, her face was all the way over here. It was not looking at him. He seemed to really actually be seeing her. That's what the kids say today. Like, is she seen? Because he looked at her toes and was like, I'm going to suck on those.
Yes.
Loved a pedicure. Said he would take a woman, drop her off, pay for the pedicure. I
Yes.
mean, this is how important a good French manicure on the toes with a toe ring is to
Oh,
him, I think.
and she did like that. She did like that he would pay for her pedicure. But yeah, when she says, how do you turn off tunnel vision to make room for a woman? Not a question I would ask on the first date. Like, just get to know the guy. Just get to know each other a little bit.
Well,
Yeah,
she does these interviews on the red carpet, and I
yeah,
think that's what she was doing. But then she also asked him, how do you feel about dating someone in the public eye? I mean, there is no shade thrown towards Lori, but it's like, really, I know
yeah,
we know
yeah.
what is her name? Auntie, what do they call her?
I don't remember.
Auntie Lori, whatever her
Lori.
name is. Is she that in the public eye? I don't
Yeah,
know. I felt like she was picking him apart. And
yeah.
as soon as I thought that, they cut to a confessional of him, and he goes, "She was really picking me apart." He uses those exact words, and then he goes, "But I liked it. I really liked it." What was that about?
I don't know if he really did like it, though. I don't know. To
Is he being
me,
a people pleaser?
yeah, there's something about him in a way that I don't feel like he's all there either. He's trying to say the right things, but I don't feel like he's fully present either, but in a very, very different way. You know what I mean?
Um, yes, he's almost agreeable to a fault, because no one could possibly like picking him apart like this. I'm sorry. I thought it was
Yeah.
obnoxious,
Yeah.
and I wasn't on the date, but he seemed to think that things were going great because they exchanged phone numbers.
Again.
Uh,
So she very early on is saying, you look familiar, you look familiar, you look familiar. And then phone numbers happen, and he's already in her phone from what I think it was 7 years ago.
2017. Now, yes,
Oh,
because I guess this
2017.
was
Okay.
filmed in 2024, 2017, seven
Yeah.
years ago. Do you not go through your contacts now and then and go, wait a minute, who's this guy from POF, which I had to look up, Plenty of Fish?
Yes. Yes.
Yes. And is
So
that
was
even,
that
do people?
her note about him?
Yes.
Or right? So I wonder why she kept thinking like, well, I have to understand why. Did he ghost me? Did he ghost me? Did he ghost me? But if that's her note about him, plenty of fish, like to herself, like, oh, there's plenty of fish, then maybe she ghosted him. I don't know, but they both don't seem to have made a very memorable impression, so it couldn't have been that bad.
Is anybody on that app anymore? Plenty of
What
Fish?
app? Oh,
Oh,
that's an
that's the
app.
name of the app. Yeah.
I know.
Were you saying that she was like, there's plenty of fish in the sea, so I don't need to date this guy? So confused by what just happened. Okay. All right. No,
Wait, is that an app? I've never heard of
it's an
it.
app. Plenty of
Okay, so
fish.
how old is this app? How old?
At least from 2017.
Okay, okay. Well, I've been married for 15 years, so I guess, Wait, how do you know it?
Oh, I know all the dating apps. I always wanted to put a profile up on Tinder or Hinge. I just want
Yeah,
to see.
yeah,
Peter was fully supportive. He goes, just see what you can get. I just want to. I just want to be part of the cultural conversation about swiping right and left.
yeah. I keep telling Chris, let me go on there. And there'll be the big scandal at the end because I'll actually be married and it'll be
Yes.
huge. It'll be a big scandal. That'd be like, and I said, I'll come back to you, but just let me go on there.
Yeah,
Maybe
and
back in
you know,
paradise.
God, yeah. Oh my God, can you imagine just old people in paradise? No one's going to want to get in a bikini. It would have to be like a
Yes.
golf resort or something like that. I wanted to ask you this. I thought that Ty was being pretty vulnerable and honest about his past. He actually uses the word narcissist, which is a
Yeah.
pretty big word to use. And he said, I did a lot of work on myself. I thought that's something that you would be attracted to because you like people who have bothered to go work some of their shit out from the past.
Yep.
What did you, I mean, would you have
I
been
did.
attracted to that if a guy said that to you? Because she called it a
Yeah.
red flag.
Well, I would have inquired more about narcissism, right? Because I think people, especially nowadays, throw that word around a lot. And being greedy is not the same as being a narcissist. So I'd want to say, well, how did you find yourself to be a narcissist? Because just even briefly on that date, he's not somebody that I would have pegged as that because he didn't seem grandiose when he was talking or, anything like that. So who knows? But yes, I do like somebody, especially at our age, who's had some therapy, done some work somehow on themselves. But I mean, you have to be careful, right? We talked about this before. If somebody tells you who they are, believe them. But that is a word that gets thrown around so much right now that I feel like I would have asked more about, well, why do you say that about yourself?
Being an entrepreneur?
Exactly. Then that would make him a narcissist just because he was always looking ahead and trying to get ahead. And maybe he got a little caught up on what the Jones had. And that would make you a narcissist. So,
Yeah, he did seem to tie narcissism and greed together. Well, I hope that Lori gets to the bottom of how they know each other because I would love to know who ghosted who there, or sometimes things just, kind of fizzle out.
and they
She
both said they would
does,
see each other again. Oops, sorry.
yeah,
But they
they
both,
they did.
yeah, which I was a little surprised that she
I,
said she would.
I was too. When she left, she said, I was really chill tonight. And I
Yes.
was like, what were you tonight? You were an interviewer. You were sometimes hostile. You were the pick apart person. Like chill is not what I would describe her. If that was chill Lori, I don't want to see the other Lori
No.
on a date.
Yes.
Or maybe I do want to see that
Yeah.
other Lori on a date.
And the thing is, she's a bright woman. And she's obviously very bright. She has a big personality. She should be who she is. But in that, I keep thinking of what Logan said to her is you have to leave room for other people
Mhm.
and their personality. It'll be
Oh my God.
interesting to see if she can do that.
If someone said that to me, I'd be mortified. I would be
Yeah.
like, I don't leave room for other people. She didn't even seem, Pam did the same. They didn't even seem to be personally affected by that.
Yeah.
Right? Speaking of Pam,
Okay, let's cut to.
what do you think? Let's cut to Pam. I think Paul's not into her. I don't know what's going on. He says we can't get together or we can't talk because he's going to be out of town for a week. I wasn't really buying that, although I guess they opened up his TikTok and he's singing on TikTok. I have all kinds of feelings about this. How did you feel about him not being super responsive over text?
I understood what her granddaughter, Zoe, was saying. That just throw out there one more time. Just say, don't. I understand that, but I also understood Pam not wanting to because I felt like she already did. But she threw it out there one more time. I don't know. I think if her husband was so talented, her ex-husband who passed away was such a talented musician and so good, and then she heard him sing on TikTok. Maybe she was like, yeah, maybe he's not my guy because that didn't sound so great. But I think maybe Pam was right. She said a little full of himself. I could maybe see that. I would have moved on. I think that he kind of blew her off. I would move on. What about
Yeah,
you?
I think he blew her off, but you know me,
Yeah.
I wouldn't. I would hold on for dear life. Where are you? What are you doing? Hey, haven't heard from you in a bit.
Would
Still
you? Would
up
you?
to going out? I don't know now. Back in the day, I would
Back
have.
in the
It
day,
wasn't
you would have.
until, yes, it wasn't until I read that book, He's Just Not That Into You, where I was like, oh. Oh, I literally was one of those women that it had to kind of come over me that
Right,
I
right.
remember my friend Adam Bloom, you know Adam
Oh,
Bloom, of
Adam.
course, would
Love that.
he'd come into AOC and I would like tell him, this was when texting first started. I texted this guy and he didn't respond. And he said to me one time, he goes, everyone gets their text and email immediately now. And this was because they hadn't in the past. And he goes, so if he's not responding, it's because he doesn't want to respond. And Pam already, she feels it. So I guess this is what I want to say about that. You know when someone's pulling back, you feel it, you know it. I would not have let my granddaughter send that text. The truth is I was kind of
Yeah.
joking about that. I would be very protective now. Later on in my dating life, you didn't respond to me, you were cut off from the world. Even if I was in so much pain and was pining for you, I would never I wouldn't, we used to call it, I wouldn't give my power away. No one really says that anymore, but we said it as girlfriends all the time when we were dating. Don't give your power away. We said it to each other all the
Sometimes I
time.
still say it.
Yeah, no, I do too.
Yeah.
I just don't think the kids say it.
Oh, fuck the kids. But I was that almost a spit take? Can you imagine? That would have been brilliant. Pachoo!
It's a nice bottle of Barbaresco. I'm not spitting it out.
Uh, I'm drinking. Do you know what I'm drinking?
You're drinking Wineslut White. I don't have any of my
That's
own wine in the
right.
house. I don't have
Yeah,
any of the
drinking
Wineslut
Wineslut.
Whites in this house.
Ah, that's
I
criminal.
know. It's
Yeah,
crazy.
I understand throwing herself out there one more time. Okay. I don't know if I would have.
We went from he's just not that into you. We're going to segue
Right.
into Nate. Um,
Okay.
I would say Nate pretty into Lisa.
Yes.
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 Lisa is 57. She walks in the door. Nate likes her immediately. She's divorced. I just want to put it out there. I do not like the bra top. I am not into a bra under a jacket. It is not a shirt. That is not an appropriate shirt. Don't wear a bra. There's no reason to wear a bra in public. Not at 57. And I do believe in some ways that we
Or
can
to
dress age
inauguration.
or to an inauguration. We're not political on this podcast.
No, we're not. But it doesn't matter. You don't do it. Like you're talking about later daters not doing it, especially when you've got a gazillion dollars and you can afford a stylist.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Agreed.
yes. But yeah,
Did you like the bra top?
no, I didn't. I did not like her sense of style. Sorry. And he was going gaga about it. And I thought it was really interesting because he went out with Anise, who to me is so much more pulled together and stylish. But they definitely seem to have a good time. However, when she does say that her 30-year-old kids live in the house with her, he was like, wow, wow, wow. He said,
Three
wow,
times.
3 times.
Mhm.
Yes, 3 times. And I think I would be taken aback too. Would that be a deal breaker for you?
I think at that age, I don't think too many of any species should be living in someone's house. 2 children are too many, 3 dogs are too much. Because when I go over to their house, I don't want to have to deal with all those dogs. I don't want to have to deal with the son and the daughter. It's awkward. So deal breaker, I don't know, but it would definitely be like, we're not going to your house until you figure that out. Well, I thought this was going to be a deal breaker for him, but then she actually acknowledges it. She goes, I know, I've been too soft. I'm too soft on them. I need to do something about this, kind of. I mean, 34 and 31. I know
Yes.
things are hard out there for, I don't know what 31 and 34 are millennials. Is that still, are we still millennial? I don't know what that is, but it is time to get out
Yes.
there.
It would just shows that there was something else there because he said it from the very beginning, like, ugh, no. But he definitely seemed the most attracted to her and they had the most connection. She asked to do a selfie at the end of the date, which is normally something that he does. And she did have a softness to her that he seemed to really respond well. I mean, Anise did too when he mentioned she showed a lot of empathy, right? We talked about that when he talked about his injury and not being able to exercise. But Lisa had an overall softness to her. He definitely seemed to enjoy their date.
He was vulnerable with Anise a little bit,
Mhm.
but her wall allowed him to only go so far. Lisa was so warm. And even looking at her, I would tell her a secret. I would
Mm,
trust her. She's somebody that feels like that she would be gentle with your
mm,
heart. I
mm.
understand why he really went much deeper into his story this time. And I felt Nate for the first time. This is the first time I've seen Nate for who he is. He actually said, I was jealous. That should have been me. My life was taken away from me due to some high winds with my parachute that I had no control over. Everyone else said, you're going to be, I don't know what he called it, a full bird. I'm not sure what a full bird is in the
Yeah, I can't
military,
remember. Yeah.
but this is what he was going to be. And it was stolen from him. And heart broke for him. I thought, oh my God, like that must feel horrible. And she was so open to hearing that and listening
Mhm.
to that. And I applaud both of them for being that vulnerable on the
Yeah.
date.
Yeah. They had a very nice connection. They both seemed to be smitten with each other and attracted to each other. So,
Do you
yeah,
know
I
what else
like
she had?
besides the bra and the blazer. No, what else?
The tramp stamp.
Oh, did she have a tramp stamp?
Oh yeah. As she was getting into the car, and this isn't judgy. She's 57. That means she's Gen X. Many girls I knew in college, because I'm also Gen X, the tramp stamp was that if you were going to get a tattoo, you wanted it hidden, but you wanted it in like a sexy place. And that was the 90s. She was a vision of the 90s last night. The outfit,
Yes.
everything was like, you could have
Yes.
pushed her back to, yes,
Yes.
1993. She
Yes.
just got older, but she was the same.
Yep. Oh my God, you're so right. That the outfit and the tramp stamp. My sister is almost 50. She has a tramp stamp.
Ooh.
Did you know
Sh
that?
I did not know she had a tramp
Yeah.
stamp. Can we
Yeah.
we can get her on this podcast and ask her all about
Yes.
it and why she made that
Yeah.
decision?
Yeah. Yes.
Um,
Yeah.
I think it was what we did. Like I couldn't tell what it was. I'm trying to think of what would have been a quintessential 1990s tattoo.
Well, now I have to
We'll
go
have to.
back and look at it.
Okay. You could only see it when she was getting into the car. She was getting
Okay.
to the car and he was kind of walking her to the car. Her pants kind of came down a little bit, and I was like, "Oh, girl, you got a tramp stamp."
Well, then they were talking about first kiss. And so they're asking everybody about their first kiss. And one, I want to know about yours. But I have to say first, when Suzanne said the guy's name was Chico, I was laughing. And then when she was saying that he
Chico,
always Chico,
Chico.
yeah, like that. And then when she was saying that he always chewed grape gum. So I was like, of course, her first kiss. That just seems so her, right? That her first kiss, the guy chewed grape gum, and that's what she remembers, grape gum. But I thought that was fun. So I want to hear about your first kiss.
You can almost smell it. I mean,
Yeah.
when she was talking about it, because I remember like grape gum was a thing when I was in high
Yeah.
school a long time ago. I mean, we chewed gum constantly. I mean, boy, you couldn't live in that world anymore, Cynthia. You do not like a gum chewer. You are not into it.
No, I would have been, yeah, no, that would have been bad.
Um,
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask about your first kiss
But I asked you
because,
first. So,
okay. So my kiss was, oh my gosh, hold on 1 second. My first kiss would have been the summer of 1987.
you remember the
I
year?
was, I was 14. I was just trying to do the math. He was 16. His name was Kevin Fisher, and he lived in our neighborhood. So I could walk to his house. He drove a 1976 red Pontiac Firebird with the bird on the hood, and
Oh
I
my
thought
God.
he was everything. We would make out in the car. Sometimes his friend would drive the car just so we could make out in the back seat, which was like so cramped and tiny. He had a mullet, and I mean really short in the front and pretty mullety in the back, that like high
Party
school
in the
boys
back.
now. Oh yes, but a boy in 2025, because I think you told me they came back, the mullets are back in
Yes.
style, would kill for this mullet. His parents absolutely hated me. So sometimes I would sneak over to his house and we were like make out in his basement, but then I went off to high school and everything
How does
changed.
parents hate you? What is there to hate?
Oh, I was
And how did
14,
they,
he
how,
was
why did you
16.
think they hated you? Like, what did they do?
Oh, I wasn't allowed to come over, and he told me my parents don't like you.
Oh,
So I guess.
so I guess there was nothing like you were reading into anything.
No, it wasn't ambiguous.
Okay. All right. All right.
Pretty clear. They thought I
Okay.
distracted him from his schoolwork. Let me tell you.
Okay. So it wasn't really so personal. It was more the fact that he was making out with you and yeah, distracting him from homework.
Yeah, they thought he needed someone more responsible and older than me. Tell me about your first kiss. I
Well,
bet he didn't drive a 1976 Pontiac Firebird.
okay, there's first kiss and then there's first kiss, right? So
Yeah, which one do you want?
my first kiss was 6th grade, was Rick.
Oh, you fast.
Oh, yes. As Anise's daughter would say. That's right. But 6th grade, his name was Rick. That was my first kiss. He asked me to be his girlfriend. He asked me to go study. He gave me a spoon ring. Do you remember? Were you around like for spoon ring?
Totally. Oh my
Oh, yeah. He gave me a spoon ring. But then he wanted me to stay after school and make out with him behind our classroom. And I wouldn't. That's right. I wouldn't because I was in 6th grade. And so then he
I would
broke
have.
up with me because I wouldn't, blah, 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 blah. And so, blah, 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 blah. So then he broke up with me. And then he started going out with my friend. And the four of us were in a little cluster of desks. And there was Beth, Deirdre, and I can't remember the other person. But he started going out with one of them because she would go make out with them. And then they kind of got like mean girl weird. But that was my first that was my first kiss.
Was it good? Did it make you wanna like Kevin made me want to kiss more? He was a good kisser. Did you want to kiss more?
No, no, it wasn't. No, no, it didn't. It was quick. It was quick, but it was definitely my first kiss.
Well, that was fun. Thank you. That's something I didn't know. Should we end with Suzanne?
Okay.
Which will be a pretty quick one. So they go tailgating. Can I just say,
Yes.
what do you think of tailgating?
Oh,
It's the worst kind of date. It's the worst kind of drink. You're in a dirty parking lot drinking out of your trunk. Like,
but not
what
for them.
is that? What is
It's
not?
not for them. That has them all over it, right? It's not my thing. Well, one, I don't really watch football, so there's that. But not for them. But can we talk about her shirt
You can please talk about her shirt.
with more bulldogs? Give the bulldogs a rest. And they're driving back from the
Hmm.
game. Is that not an open container?
Oh, a little bit of a peeve in this. Yeah, for sure with her. But Avery had no business driving home after
No.
that game. I'm sorry. He almost felt like, not that he was slurring, but he was flirting. And then he brings up a threesome.
Yes.
Why? He brings
Because
it
he's
up
drunk.
saying he's drunk.
He's got to
But
be
he goes,
drunk. And how do the producers let him drive drunk?
don't know. But the way he brings it up is, I just want you to know I never want to have a threesome out of the blue. And she's
Yeah.
like, pardon? Excuse me? Who said we're gonna have a threesome?
Which means he does.
Which
What is-
obviously means that she was like she is supposed to turn to him and say, "What? My sexual
Yeah.
fantasy is that we must have a threesome," and she doesn't do that. I would have been taken aback. I would have been like, "Dude," but she was drunk too, so she just seemed to think that it was funny. I
Right.
thought it was suspicious, Aloysius. I just thought it was
But I think it was a
concerning.
little forward for her, even though she laughed it off, because the trailers make it seem like she kind of pulls back a little bit from him. And then when he goes to say goodnight to her, I think he is like going a little too fast for her. And she's kind of like, okay, whoa. And some of that I think is the sexual stuff going a little faster than she wants, or maybe feels comfortable on camera. I don't know. But yeah,
Well, they're
so
drunk.
they're drunk. It's open container. That definitely seems to be something she's sipping on in that cup. And then he says, "Oh, you're afraid of me."
Hmm.
And it's like, is she afraid or are you just getting to feeling a little bit too much? And she's like, I'm not going to sleep with you. But they kind of seem to go together. I mean, they're going in, they're walking through the garage. He says, oh, the cooler. She's like, oh, leave. We're going to go on the boat tomorrow. And he's like, oh, can I come? And she's like, sure. She keeps talking about how fun he is and how charismatic he is. And so she definitely seems to enjoy his company, right?
Absolutely. And he went in for that kiss. I think part of why he went in for that kiss is he's been staring at those Juvederm lips for, 12 hours between the two dates. I mean, they're out there. They're like, they're an ad for Juvederm. And he just had to put his mouth on them. And I
I think
kind of
it was the
understood that.
bulldogs on the shirt. I think he was like, I
Got to get me some of that. There's nothing
what's
more
it
than
called? The pendulum? Yeah, on the pendulum. Yeah. That was, yeah.
Okay, can I tell you a little piece of irony about Suzanne? She loves the Georgia Bulldogs. Everything in her house is a bulldog except what?
Her dog?
Her dogs
Yeah,
are not
yeah, yeah,
bulldogs. Why aren't her
yeah,
dogs
yeah,
bulldogs? If
yeah,
you're going to
yeah,
be that obsessed, get a bulldog. Don't get a
yeah,
poodle. Like,
yeah,
get a poodle.
yeah.
Poodle goes back. Send the poodle back. Get a bulldog and stop wearing them on your clothes. That's how I'm feeling about Suzanne right now.
Yeah, definitely. And he seems very into her though. And she seems to be enjoying him, but I feel like there's a shift or something coming. That's what I feel. I
I
don't,
totally agree.
yeah.
I have
Totally
one more
get
thing I
you.
want to talk about before we get
Okay.
off,
Okay.
and that is a really important question, which is when you are texting about a penis, do you use the eggplant emoji?
Okay, I've been married for 15 years, so I don't think we text eggplant emojis a lot, but I guess we have, my husband and I. So I guess there has been a couple of times where he's like, mm, Monday, text me an eggplant.
This is
After the
not at
weekend's
all.
over. After the
This is
weekend's
not,
over.
no, no. This is not at all what I was talking about. I was not talking about your husband referring to his own penis. I was like, when you and I are texting back and forth,
Oh,
and you
well,
have a thing.
well, why else would we text an eggplant? I'm not going to text you an eggplant. Maybe
Just
my
like
husband.
whenever I want to text somebody, I don't know, a blowjob thing. I don't know why I would be texting people
Whenever
like,
you want to
oh,
text someone a blowjob thing, how many
I
people are
don't
you
know.
texting a
I
blowjob
don't
thing?
know. I did it the other day and I can't remember what it was for, but
To who?
it was like blow me. And it was like an
Oh,
eggplant with a face emoji. Um, but the truth is I honestly like I don't text that much about penises, which might come as a shock to you.
well, my husband only, it's when it's, the clock is ticking. He's like,
Okay.
okay, it's been more than 5 days. And he's sending me the eggplant, and I'm like, all right, dude.
Oh God, is that how you know that
We
you have
need
to
to.
fulfill your wifely duties? You become of
Yes.
Chris.
Yeah.
It's like the Handmaid's Tale over there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
And it's a good sign if he gets a peach back. And if he gets a, you know, whatever, it's not a good sign.
Oh boy, I
Yeah.
look forward to learning
Yeah.
about your emoji vernacular dictionary with your husband.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
very interesting thing. I did
Yeah.
not know this. I did not know
Yeah.
this.
Yeah. Well, this happen a lot. It's not like every week.
Sounds like every
I
5 days
mean,
it
the
happens.
texting, the texting, that is. Yeah. The texting.
Well,
Okay.
that's right. Well, that's E4 of the later daters. And let's next time maybe do 5 and 6 together. Although we do seem to have so much to talk about. I don't know how we
I
get
know.
through
Let's
two
try.
episodes. Okay,
We'll try. Okay.
that
I'm
sounds
in.
great.
But wait, do we mention Bachelor?
Do we? To our huge audience?
Yeah. I know everybody wants to know.
The Bachelor is coming on Monday. I
Monday
won't
night?
watch it until Tuesday night, which means we probably won't record till Wednesday, and I'll get it up by Thursday. But that's
Okay.
okay. We'll
That's
just be a
okay.
little bit delayed just
Yeah.
this week because I have to go to a city council meeting.
For
for the wine preserve bid to raise money for the Vintners Association. Do you want me to go off and talk about this anymore?
No,
No.
actually.
Okay.